Hello, in this video I'm going to display how you set up your 4th axis, set up your material, placing the hub on your stock, and how you get the actual diameter to turn your stock without actually plunging your rattle bit into the wood and tearing off your bit or snapping the bit. In this case, we have a 5.5 piece of stock. However, the total diameter is 7.5. 7.5 is what I use to set up my stock because that is the highest point of the corners from here to here, where this would be the center, considered as your table before it is wrapped around your workpiece. In this case, this is where I'm going to mount my hub, here in the center. Okay, in this process I demonstrate the mounting. Since I have a 3-jaw chuck, normally the 3-jaw chuck does not going to clamp a square stock. So I created a hub for the jaws to clamp onto, where in this case it's small enough to secure it. And you want to make sure when you secure, you want to make sure that your workpiece is level. Once it's level, you bring in the tailstock. You lock the tailstock mounts to secure the tailstock from backing out as it turns. So these will be your stops. As you secure the stock, you turn the tailstock, just enough pressure to keep tension on, and then from the side of the tailstock you have your set screw that you turn to keep it from backing out. Once that is done, do not forget to remove your T-handle and your level. That completes the setup for the mount. Back again. Initially, we set up the stock on the rotary. In this case, on this machine, my rotary is actually on the B axis since it is parallel to the Y axis. If the rotary is in front, which is on the X axis, technically that would be the A axis. We often refer the A axis as the rotary axis anyway, but to keep it simple and keep the terms what we know when you're referring to them, we would say the B axis is parallel to the Y axis. I've homed the machine to its origin. So that is the machine coordinates. In the rich audio setup, we have offsets. In this case, menu 4 combination button will set a workspace of offset 4, which I have already programmed for it to be my 4th axis. So when I hit reference and it say, do you want to return to the origin? You press OK, my machine will automatically go to the B axis location for rotary, which is preset in the middle, dead center. Once it's set there, then I can adjust it along the work axis and set my work origin. I would jog back to my material location of where I want to start, which is here. So I would place my crosshair here, which is center in the middle of the tailstock. I would turn my stock piece into its level. Once it's level, then I would set the origin of my A-axis by clearing. Once the origin has been set for the rotor, now I set my Y origin. The way to set the Y origin is already set on the laser. So my laser has an offset that I created for the bit. So in this case, I would just press my X and my Y here to set my origin. Now that becomes the workpiece origin. I will initially put the first bit in that I'm going to use before even loading the program. With the rich audio, you could do your setup, your touch off, and everything once you load the program. The rich audio remembers those coordinates and it's going to move to that offset. You don't have to refresh or re-reference as you would have to do in Mark III. So I will place the bit in, which we're going to use a 1/2 inch 2-flute compression bit. I would use that for my rough. The bit is placed in. Now it's time to set my touch-off point. In this case, I have already pre-measured. I know that this piece of stock that I made is actually the same height as my center stock, which is 7 1/4 inches. I would jog back to that location right here. I would lower my Z, and then I would use my tool sensor off this block. I will always come back to this location and I touch off my tool. Once the tool is set to its height, I can actually press reference here and it will actually go back to the work origin. Now you're ready to set your machining file to get ready to do your rotary attachment. So I have already loaded the file in the rich audio. So what we're going to do now, this is the rough and pass. As I press the run, parameters will come up to run your machine. In this case here, I'm going to reset my work speed to the highest max. Therefore, I can dial it down on the fly. As it starts turning more aggressive or less aggressive, I can turn it up. Because once it reads the G code, you're not going to be able to override the G code. So in this case, I would select and I would turn it at 10,000 millimeters per minute, which almost equal to about 400 inches per minute. And then I will run my fast speed at around 8,000 millimeters per minute. And that is set. Once that's ready to go, then you press OK. The machine should go to the start location, which becomes now the work origin. I always put my hand on the pause in case anything happens. I can stop the machine and do this. Since we have completed the roughing, next we're going to go to the finishing bit, which is a 16th inch tapered ball nose tooth flute. So it will have a radius of a 32nd. Once we put this in, we'll go to the finishing, and in the finishing you will see the helix technique, where it will be a constant rotation, a simultaneous 4-axis machine. I'm running this bit at 15,000 RPMs. So once we do this, and then we'll get back with you so you can see what the file will be looking like as it's cutting. As you can see, I replaced the bit. So now it's time for the bit change that replaced in. Remember, your touch-off spot is not going to change. So you can actually come back off the work origin to the touch-off tool. Once I'm to the touch-off tool, I press my tool set and let the tool touch off. Tool is set. Now the tool is set, I can say reference and go back to my work origin. Now we're ready to start.